Hi everyone. Thanks for joining me. My name is Patricia Hanbich and I am your horticulturist. Today I'm going to talk about propagating cacti and succulents. So as you can see, I'm kind of surrounded by plants. And I guess the first thing to remember is that cacti and succulents are a little different than a lot of the other plants that we have. So what makes them different? Well, they have the ability to survive for longer periods of time with less water. And how they do that is they actually have stems that are storage organs. So what we're going to do today is do some stem cutting. So here's a finger jade. And you can see that all along the stem are roots growing. Interestingly enough, and back to botany once again, interestingly enough, if you can look closely at the stem, you'll see there's little scars along, and those are called the nodes. So those are the places where the leaves will grow out. What's special about nodes on stems is they are much better at reorganizing their work and have the ability to change the work and grow new leaves. So as I said, this is a finger jade, and because there's fairly high humidity in my house, lo and behold, what do you see? Roots all along. So they're mainly at the nodes because that specialized tissue, it's called meristematic tissue, has the ability to change the job and the plant can grow new leaves. So very different than growing things from seed or propagating other plants that are not succulent in nature, so they don't have the ability to store. So these are a couple of pots that I did a few months ago. So you see there's some regular jades, some finger jades, some other little succulents, and this one has some cacti in it, and actually even some Easter or Christmas cactus. So these were done quite a number of months ago and they're getting quite large. So I'll probably just leave them and pot them into something else. But what I thought I'd do is I've got some nice little pots, smaller ones and larger ones, and they're just plain little clay pots. And what I've used for media is basically just a all-purpose soilless mix. So I like Pro Mix or Sunshine Mix, whatever you have. And I usually cut it with a little bit more perlite. I don't like putting sand in. Some people will propagate succulents right into sand. But I find just a nice Pro Mix is something that is kind of nice. So fill up your containers, whatever it is you have. I like to ensure there's some kind of drainage in the container just because it's real easy to overwater things. So your soil or your soilless mix, whatever your media is, needs to be moist but not wet. So I would be hard pressed to even squeeze a drop of water out of this. So it doesn't need to be really wet because remember that what we're dealing with is a plant that's succulent in nature, so it doesn't need as much water. So whenever we're working with plants, the best thing to do is emulate the conditions that that plant grows in naturally. So I guess the home of succulents is South Africa, very dry, and you'll see that succulents will be growing wild, but over the years they'll creep towards the highway because overnight there's a little bit of condensation, and that moisture is enough to get those plants working towards living in an environment where they can actually survive. So mix, you fill up your containers, do not pack them down. Just shake them off, give them a couple of taps on the table, and then simply take your cuttings. And I like to do a variety. So here's a finger jade. So I'm taking that cutting right at a node, and I'll take one of these and take off the leaves, because where those leaves have been is where the plant is going to grow. And how about some regular jade? Now look at that, isn't that nice? So again, take off the bottom leaves because they'll just rot. You can also start succulents from leaf cuttings, but I don't think we'll do that today. We'll just do regular cuttings, and then you basically set them very gently into the media. Don't have to press them in, don't have to do anything else other than set them in there. Very nice. And within a period of time, usually depending on the cutting and the environment, within a couple of weeks these will be rooted up. And interestingly enough, you don't water them, you just give them a little hint of water. If you can, give them some bottom heat, or put them in a warm environment, because that terracotta pot will actually take up some of the heat in the room and hold it in the pot. So succulents, in most cases, and they're very popular now, will outgrow their pots. So in the wintertime, if you're overwintering your succulents and you don't happen to have grow lights, it's really important not to overwater them. You don't need to fertilize these cuttings, nothing like that. Just pop them in the pot, put them in the appropriate environment, and let them grow. So I've got a couple other things to show you. This is an orchid cactus. So orchid cactus are a beautiful blooming cactus, and you'll see this was started last fall. This is actually what was planted. So see if I can pull that out of there. So you see what has happened is the old original leaf that is now dried up actually sprouted a little baby on the side, and actually that is how it has grown. So this is of no use to the plant, and you'll see it's got some nice root tissue coming out. So when you're taking stem cuttings from succulents or cacti-like species, important to not water the media, keep it nice and dry, put them in an environment that is warm, bottom heat if you have it. Media should not be packed into the pot, basically slightly damp, and you can lightly water them when you get them in their environment where they're going to grow. And if you just leave them be, supplemental light is great, then before long you'll find that they've got nice root tissue. And like I said, this one was done a number of months ago, and it is firmly rooted in. And once you've got them rooted up, you can transplant them into larger pots or enjoy them outside for the summer. So thanks for joining me. You can catch me on the Orchid Horticulture Facebook page once a week, and any time of the day or night on my YouTube channel, Grow. If you like what you see, please subscribe, and I hope that wherever you are, you're keeping warm, because when it's winter and it's cold, the best thing to do is be inside and do some growing. So wherever you are, I hope you're staying warm, you're being safe, you're happy, and you're growing. So we'll see you next time, folks. Bye now.